Braden Schneider has a chance to be a very key part of this New York Rangers team moving forward into the future, but also this season as well, and this playoff run potentially also. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at how good Braden Schneider has been so far with the Rangers, while also taking a look at some contract comparables and kind of what a potential contract could look like for Braden Schneider as he is an RFA this upcoming offseason. He'll need a new contract as his entry-level contract is expiring. So we're going to take a look at all that and more in this video. And what I would say is one of the best parts about Braden Schneider is the fact that he is still only 22 years old. He didn't even turn 23 until late September. He is still a very young NHL player, still pretty inexperienced at the NHL level. I mean, he still, had about 2.5 seasons at the NHL level in the regular season, has played quite a bit in the playoffs. I mean, his first year, his rookie season was back in 2021, 2022, when the Rangers went all the way to the conference finals against Tampa there. He's still a pretty inexperienced guy. He's got a lot of room to grow, a lot of room to get better. I truly do think could one day be a very good kind of top 4 caliber D-man. I don't think he's ever going to be a, number 1 or number 2 kind of guy, but being a very good number 3, number 4 for a very long time at the NHL level. He's still very young. He's 6'3", 209 pounds. He's got a very good size there. He's a right-handed D-man as well, which is more valuable than lefties. So being a young guy like that, while also having some pretty good size there, being a right-handed guy, being a very tough physical player, and willing to block shots, fight, hit, do all that good stuff as well. He's a guy who could be a very good NHL player for a very, very long time. And for Braden, I do think defensively right now at the NHL level, he has done quite a good job for a young guy like him. I mean, he's obviously only 22 years old, like I said, still very young, still developing. I think defensively has done a pretty good job overall, but I think his offensive game is something that could really take a big step forward in the next couple of seasons. I don't think he's ever going to be a, great kind of offensive guy where he's putting up, 45 plus points per season. But I do think if you take a look kind of what he's done at the AHL level or with Team Canada at the World Juniors, or whether it was, back in his WHL days at the junior level with, Brandon Wheat Kings, I think he has shown a lot of offense in those years where, back with the Brandon Wheat Kings in his last season with them, he ended up having 22 games played, 5 goals, 22 assists for 27 total points. He was, decent amount over a point per game there as a captain that season back in 2020, 2021. Take a look at his most recent year in the AHL back in 2021 and 2022. He ended up having 24 games played, 9 assists. And you take a look at what he did way back in 1920. He ended up having 60 games played there, 42 points, 7 goals, 35 assists. Not bad at all. I think there is a lot more to his offensive game than kind of what we've seen so far. And I do think we have seen some pretty good flashes offensively from Braden at the NHL level. He does like to jump into the rush sometimes, try and make something happen. He's got a pretty good shot, decent passing, decent vision there. So I do think that if he can be a little more consistent offensively, really round out that offensive game, he definitely could be a pretty solid offensive kind of guy. And Braden is a guy who is very physical and a very tough player as well. This season, in 82 games played, he had 167 hits with 133 block shots. And last season, in 81 games played, had 147 hits and 130 block shots. He's a guy who likes to fight, likes to hit, likes to block shots. He's a very tough physical guy, and those are the kind of guys you want on your team, especially come playoff time. You want those tough, hard-nosed players, and that is exactly what he is. And he also only had 32 penalty minutes the last 2 seasons combined. He's only missed 1 game in the last 2 seasons as well. He's a very tough physical player, but also is a guy who has not been too injured at all. He's been playing pretty much day in and day out for this team, which is exactly what you want. And the last thing we're going to take a look at here before we move on to the contract talk. This season, he had 82 games played, 5 goals, 14 assists for 19 total points, and also played an average of 15 minutes and 54 seconds per night. You take a look at last season, 81 games played, 5 goals, 13 assists for 18 total points, and he averaged 15 minutes and 43 seconds, so about 11-minute jump this season. And his rookie year, back in 2021, 2022, when the Rangers went all the way to the conference finals, he ended up having 43 games played in the regular season, 2 goals, 9 assists for 11 total points, and he averaged 15 minutes and 29 seconds per night. And now taking a look at what a potential contract could be like for a guy like Braden Schneider this offseason, I think something around a 2 to 3 year deal at about $2.5 to $3 million. Something around there is kind of what I'm guessing. I think it probably is going to be a little more towards that $2.5 million mark, but I very well could be wrong. I'm kind of guessing though about, 2.7, 2.8, maybe about 3, but something around there is kind of what I'm guessing. You take a look at these 3 guys here that are kind of comparables. Guy like Ryan Lindgren, he signed his deal back in May of 2021, but it was a 3-year, $3 million contract, coming off of his entry level contract, just like Braden is at age 23. So about the same age, about the same kind of timeline in his NHL career. So pretty similar there. I think that could be about what he gets, maybe a little less, but something around there is definitely realistic. A guy like Alexander Romanov, he signed his deal back in August of 2022. It was a 3-year deal worth $2.5 million, coming off of his entry level contract there at age 22. Definitely could be somewhat similar. And then a guy like Martin Ferrivari as well signed his deal back in July of 2023. It was a 3-year deal worth $2.675 million at age 23. So I think that is, pretty similar to what a contract could look like for Braden Schneider. Maybe he opts to go for a bit of a shorter one where it's like a 2-year deal, or maybe a longer one where it's like a, 4 or 5-year deal. We'll have to wait and see, but hopefully it will be a good deal for both sides, and hopefully we can see Braden Schneider locked up for at least a few years after this one. Anyways, so thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please smash the like button. Don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on Braden Schneider. How do you think he's played? And also, what do you think a contract could look like for him this offseason? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one. And don't forget to subscribe for daily New York Rangers content.